Welcome to the Homeschool High School podcast, brought to you by Seven Sisters Homeschool.com and the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network. I'm Vicki, and I am so excited because I found a fascinating young person to talk about a homeschool youth magazine. So let me introduce everybody to Houston Wrona. And Houston, I would love if you would just say hi to everybody and tell us about your homeschool journey, like a little bit of your homeschool adventures so they know who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for having me.
Yes.
So I'm 20 years old now. And so I graduated about 2 years ago from being homeschooled. And my homeschool story, so to speak, began when I was quite young. I went to preschool for about a real short period of time, maybe about 2 weeks. And then my mom missed me too much. And so I've been homeschooled ever since.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
yeah, it's been a great experience. I'm really thankful for it. And the younger years of my learning were much different than my kind of right around high school. It kind of changed a lot. My younger years were much more curriculum based and that kind of stuff, whereas my older years it kind of took a sharp turn to very little or basically no curriculum itself, but just trying to do things really well. And so there's a problem. How do we solve it? There's a goal. How do we achieve it? That kind of stuff,
Mhm.
and just trying to do things really well.
That is a really cool homeschool kind of goal. And so you went through high school like learning skills and being prepared for life, which is
Mhm.
really really awesome. So what got your attention to me, like what brought you across my path, was this magazine. So those who are watching on YouTube will see I'm holding up the Youth Speaks. It's a beautiful magazine. We've got several issues of it, like glossy magazine, and it's a homeschool publication. So I like when Houston sent this to me in the mail, I go like, good heavens, this is a professional publication. The layout and the artwork, the design, the writing is all magnificent. It's very professional and friendly. So like really nice to read, welcoming to read. But it's all by homeschoolers, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So,
So
so tell
all
us,
yeah.
tell us yeah. What's the story of the man? The Youth Speaks, a homeschool publication. Tell us how this thing got started.
Yeah, well, like I was saying about kind of just doing things in high school,
Hmm.
one of those things that we were part of was we were in this homeschool group. And for part of our time there, we led this kind of newspaper
Hmm.
that was written by some of the homeschoolers in the group, but just it was mailed to then every family in the group.
Uh-huh.
Um, we printed it ourselves and stuff. So it's very, very different than what we do now.
Yes.
But that kind of got us into this kind of leading writers and that kind of stuff. And as we kind of got to where we were closer to graduating the group and just kind of wanting to change it, it was kind of like, well, what do we do next? And so what we eventually decided on was instead of being a part of a specific homeschool group for this, what if we open this up to any homeschooler, Christian homeschooler, um, whether it's they're halfway across the country or even in a different country, to possibly be a part of writing for this,
Hmm.
and do that like remotely. And so those were kind of some of the basic ideas that then led to this, which is now a completely separate thing. But that was the inspiration to the Youth Speak.
So your staff on the magazine now is you and friends from the old homeschool group?
Yeah, some from the old and well, I guess actually all from the old. But yeah, there's now contributors. So how it kind of works, could I go into that a little bit?
I would love to hear about it. Yes.
Okay, so we have a kind of core team. And when we first started, we had a team of 12, and myself included, 12 homeschoolers, Christian homeschoolers, or youth graduates like myself.
Hmm.
And some of them were specifically writers, some of them were specifically designers, and some did both.
Hmm.
And so we would meet on Tuesdays and just work on writing. And then once something got written, okay, who wants to design it? And kind of have this cycle that now we've been doing for a while. And so yeah, we have that team that does that in person, that meets in person. But any homeschooler, anywhere, basically, Christian homeschooler anywhere, can submit writing through email, and it's totally free, to possibly be published in this physical magazine.
Mhm. So I want to read some of the articles. So this is not a like you are limited to the Youth Speaks topics. You know, we only write about these things. So in this episode, this edition, we have an article on Washington D.C., on Thomas Edison, Roanoke Island, one on what is this thing called homeschooling, famous homeschoolers, uncommon words to impress your friends, AI art versus real art, the history of the violin, a paper on paper, chess strategy, favorite berries, the history of quinoa, dairy products, the crocodilia order, the final 80%, why do leaves change color, and anxious for nothing, a girl's first day of homeschooling. Like, it's such a rich variety. It's just absolutely delightful. And that, you know, for folks who are unfamiliar, so here is some of the design of, here's the history of quinoa. And you can see like the graphics are beautiful. So AI versus reality, we've got enough graphic that it's not distracting, but it's laid out nicely. Like, you guys are doing a quality job. This is not just a sloppy thing put together. Oh, let's just do this. Like, you guys have been working on this.
Yeah, thank you. We have a great, hardworking team, and you know, it says in the Bible, whatever you do, do it heartily, as to the Lord, not to men. And so, kind of going along with just doing things well, we want to do this magazine. If we're going to do it, we want to do it really, really well.
Well, you have done a really good job. So I am curious now, this kind of publication is not, you know, you can't run it off on the copier at home. You know, it's not like your newsletter for Co-op or something.
No.
How do you guys fund the magazine?
Yes, there's kind of two main ways that we fund it. So one way is through subscriptions, or people that simply order the magazine. So they're $9, which includes shipping, being mailed to the contiguous, 48 states, for $9. The second way we get is through advertisements. So my dad happens to be one of the advertisers. He's there with his business, and I work for him as well. But anyways, yeah, there's another advertisement.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you've
that
got
store,
corporate sponsors, and you've got subscription sponsors. So
yes.
Yeah.
Oh. So that's basically how it gets funded. The advertisers and people that order the magazine or subscribe to receive future editions of the magazine.
Describe how, like, let's say you've got a homeschool high schooler, and they have a subject that they are really interested in, and maybe they've already written a research paper on it, so they've got a little bit of expertise in it, and they want to submit an article. What are you guys looking for in an article to be that would be publishable in the Youth Speaks?
That's a good question. So first off, obviously it's a Christian magazine, so that's kind of the first criteria. If it gets, assuming it gets through that, then grammar and punctuations type stuff is not that big of a deal. I mean, there's a little editing process, so almost everything has some errors that we go through and stuff like that, a little polishing.
Yeah.
Some other things that do affect it, though, would be like, is it time sensitive? Is it news? What you won't find in the magazine is news, because we write a magazine oftentimes 3 months or more. Oftentimes, most of it is 3 months before it gets published.
Absolutely, yes.
And so it just can't be like what's about to happen this time.
Yeah.
And we also don't want the magazine to be overly dated after, a year from now.
Right.
We want all the magazines to be enjoyable, so they're all pretty timeless things. So that's one thing to consider. Another thing to consider, and this isn't a must, but this is something I'm trying to kind of steer it in the direction of doing more, is write about something where you have either firsthand experience in it and can incorporate maybe your own kind of personal story in something, or something where you have an original perspective in. So I understand this isn't really possible for all articles. Like history, it might just not really be that doable to have an original perspective
Yeah.
that much. But trying to encourage stuff where, yeah, either you know it really well yourself, it can be like very much your own words, or you have some sort of perspective.
Yeah, I appreciated like you in the editor's column at the beginning of one of these editions. You were talking about your experience at a homeschool conference, and those of us who have been homeschooling for a while have usually attended a conference at least here or there, and it's
Mhm.
just part of our culture. So to have your experience at a conference was absolutely delightful to read, but you could write about that because that meant something to you. You were feet on the ground there, and
Mhm.
you had some interesting insights for what it was like for you. So, have you found there's a word length that you guys are looking for? Like, what would be too short or too long, or are y'all flexible?
We're pretty flexible on the website, which is theyouthspeak.com. On there, we do give um, word rough kind of guideline word counts for different types of writing. I'm really glad you brought up the table of contents because that ties into the fact that there is more than one type of writing. There's the general kind of informational articles,
Mhm.
there's recipes, there's fictional short stories, there's sometimes like true like personal accounts like um, there's this magazine which the cover on that one was exploring our nation's national parks, one
Nice.
family's month-long vacation
Mm,
adventure. So that was about their month-long trip, a very photo-rich kind of article.
yeah.
So there's kind of personal stuff. Sometimes there's even lists as far as like conversation starters or other things like that.
Hmm. So really, there's a broad variety. It just needs to fit right with you guys. Have a
Mhm.
Christian worldview, not
Mhm.
anything obnoxious, and they don't need to include graphics or anything like that themselves, right?
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. The core team, like I was explaining, has the writers and the designers, and so do both. The contributors, can write from afar, but we do like all of the graphic design to be done by those on our team.
Yes.
Now we are looking for more people on our team, so if anyone lives near Central North Carolina, a little town called Pinehurst, we'd like to have you at least for a visit if you want to come down there if you live close enough. But yeah, our team is responsible for the graphic design of the articles. All the contributor needs to do is write an article, send it in, just starts by sending an email to info@theyouthspeak.com and just sending in the article, and then we'll proceed from there.
So who does like the actual layouts and does the editing? Like, do y'all break it down, or does everybody share?
Yeah, so it's broken down as far as in the back of the magazine, each edition, you'll see the team pages.
Uh huh.
And so it'll show all the writers and all the designers.
Hmm.
And so the designers, um, it varies by edition, obviously. Um, but it's kind of like each person takes on an article. It's like, okay, here's a designer who just finished an article. What do you want to design next? Or here's an article that needs to be designed. Who wants to design it?
Hmm.
And that's kind of how that works.
So you got really dependence on a team, and that's really important because
Mhm.
one person trying to pull off a production this big would not be good. So, like, I really want the moms out there that are listening to this to give this some thought and yeah, introduce your teens to this. I don't boss people around too often, but right, like to give a young person the idea that you can create something valuable like a magazine that is the writing and the layouts and the distribution and the production, and it's young people who've homeschooled and they are working as a team and they are doing quality work. That's an inspiration to the next generation. And then what you guys are doing are including that next generation in by publishing their work. Like this is a homeschool mom's dream. So homeschool moms, let's think about this. So all right, which leads to on the back cover of the magazine, it tells homeschoolers if they would like to submit something for publication. So, would you like to tell our listeners, like, all right, let's say a teen has something that they are really have some experience and some interest in and would like to share an article for possible publication? What are the steps that you got there?
Yeah, so first off, kind of segueing a little bit before I answer that, if that's all right.
Absolutely. Yes.
Something neat about the magazine is we like to view it as kind of like an encouragement or a motivation for the teens writing the articles.
Yes.
It's great to write just to get better at writing. I mean, that certainly has a purpose. That's great. But a second purpose could be writing for this magazine. Mm-hmm. And hopefully it's a good experience for the writer, as well as you're helping us out. So we appreciate it. Yes. By sending in writing. So, and it's also something where it's a wide age gap. I mean, for say a homeschool family, usually have a lot of kids. So, say there's 4 kids in the range of 10 to 18. Mm-hmm. They could all submit an article. And I would expect the 18-year-olds to probably be better than the 10-year-olds. Mm-hmm. But that's fine. As long as they all meet, a standard enough. That's great. Yeah, they can all send in something. And so it can be a family thing. As far as how they do it, like I said before, it just starts with sending an email to info@theyouthspeak.com, and then just sending in your writing. And then from there, they're usually is some edits. So it may be some grammar, some punctuation, or just some overall kind of polishing to help bring it to magazine level writing. But still very much trying to keep it your article. Mm-hmm. And then that might go kind of back and forth, and then until eventually it's done. And then I'm the editor as well. And I pass it off to one of our designers, or I design it because I'm one of the designers as well. And someone designs it, and then eventually it kind of takes a few months for this all to play out over time, because the timeline of how the magazine gets produced. But eventually then it ends up in both physical print as well as on our website. On our website, all our magazines are free to view online, theyouthspeak.com. And so for, say, a homeschool family that contributes, they might want a copy for themselves, but even if they don't want to buy a copy for their grandparents, they can still send them the link, and it's free. You don't need an account, you don't need anything, just to read it.
That is a good introduction to the magazine, is that parents can go to theyouthspeaks.com.
Yeah, so sorry, just to clarify, the youth speak, so singular speak, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. Okay. I will put links on the YouTube and in the show notes, so that young people can go there and parents can go there and actually look at a digital form of the magazine. So I've looked at that as well, and of course, I like the print because I'm of a certain generation, and I really like to hold things in my hand. So,
yeah, we all do.
Yeah. All right. And it's really good to read magazines. Like, it's good to sit down and say, I have read a whole article. Like, you completed a thing. When you read a book, it takes a few days or a few weeks, according to the kind of book. But when you read a magazine, you can read one article a day, and you completed that article. So it's really a rewarding thing for adults and young people. So let's say a parent would like to order the print magazine. How will they go about doing that?
Yeah, so again, just go to the website, theyouthspeak.com, and from there you go to our magazines page, and from there you'll see all the editions of the magazine. And you'll be able to view any of them online, or you'll be able to start ordering any of them. So that's how you would order previous editions. If you wanted to subscribe to receive the next edition or the next several editions, you can cancel anytime. It's a normal subscription kind of thing. In order to do that, there's a button at the top that says subscribe. So you'd click on that, and that would take you to a payment link.
So it's simple, just like ordering any other magazine. You just go online and you click the button, and it happens. So, all right. Any other things that you would like for our homeschool parents to know about the magazine?
Wow, we actually covered a lot there.
Yeah, I think we hit a whole bunch of stuff. And listen, not many people could pull off this kind of, it's just a quality production. And I've got, with Seven Sisters Homeschool, we've got websites and curriculum. I know what goes into any kind of publishing. You guys are pulling off a quality publication as a team. So the quality of teamwork, quality of homeschool graduates and homeschool high schoolers, and the writing that has gone into the editions that I have read. So homeschoolers are contributing quality work. What it's really important to know, we can do things, like
Hmm.
homeschoolers can do such cool things. We're not limited, and you guys are walking proof of that. So I appreciate it. So I encourage everybody. So it's the Youth Speak singular, a homeschool publication, and check it out and think about the exciting quality things that you can bring across your teens life, and also maybe they'll be inspired to do some pretty amazing things as well. So all right, one more time, because repetition is good. Tell everybody how to find your website.
Okay, so it's you don't want to forget the, because a lot of people forget the,
The,
because not in the big text on the magazine,
yeah.
but theyouthspeak.com.
Easy to do. So check it out, everyone. Check it out. Maybe get a subscription, because you're investing in the community and investing in your own young people. And maybe we can have some of your young folks write for the magazine as well, and just making the world a more fun and interesting place. So thank you, Houston, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so this has been the Homeschool High School podcast, brought to you by sevensistershomeschool.com and the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network. Thank you to Seth Tillman for editing, and we'll see everyone next week.